If you beat me, take my horse. Billionaire cracks up. But this kid humiliates everyone. The air crackled with anticipation as the sun dipped low in the sky, painting the horizon in hues of orange and purple. A crowd had gathered, their voices an excited hum, buzzing with disbelief and dread. In the center stood a tall, imposing figure, Tyler McKinney, the billionaire, a man whose reputation was more notorious than any Hollywood villain. He leaned against his glossy black sports car, a smirk etched on his chiseled jaw. "Who's brave enough to try and take me on?" he called out, laughter ringing like a bell amidst the whispers of the crowd. The absurdity was almost tangible. Take his horse? Overconfidence dripped from him, taunting any challengers. Then from the back of the crowd a boy stepped forward. His name was Jake, 15 and wiry, with wild hair that seemed to reflect his untamed spirit. He had nothing but determination in his eyes, and that caught everyone off guard. "I'll do it." His voice sliced through the tension sharp as a knife. Murmurs erupted around him. It was almost comical to think the kid could stand a chance. Tyler scoffed, disbelief dancing across his face. "You're joking, right? What do you think you'll do?" But the flicker of something deeper lurked beneath the surface. Could this kid actually be trouble? As the challenge was laid out, the crowd's energy shifted. Excitement morphed into a heavy weight, as though everyone held their breath together, waiting for something wild to unfold. What kind of kid would dare challenge a billionaire? The stakes were higher than the bold words implied. Jake's heart raced. There were minutes to convert doubt into belief, and the chill in the air was almost a whisper, hinting at the unexpected. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." Jake's palms were sweaty, his knees trembling, but he refused to back down. He stepped closer, determination hardening his features. The crowd leaned in, an ocean of faces reflecting shock and curiosity. They were all in this moment together, sensing the tension build like the draw of a tightly pulled bowstring. "If I win, I take your horse." Tyler's laughter echoed off the walls, but it was shallow. Beneath it lay a hint of doubt, that tiny crack in confidence. The game was shifting. The odds felt like they were teetering. A heart-stopping uncertainty crept through the crowd. Would this kid actually have a chance? But as they prepared for the contest, a strange wind rustled through the trees nearby, carrying with it a whisper of an old legend. The last person who challenged Tyler had disappeared without a trace. The atmosphere turned electric, sparking a chill down everyone's spines, as murmurs mixed with intrigued whispers. This felt different, almost like fate was hanging in the balance. Jake took a deep breath, heart pounding. Shadows loomed large around him, echoing the tales binding this moment to something deeper. What dark secrets lay ahead if he went through with this? The stage for a showdown had been set, but the question lingered: would he emerge victorious, or join the ranks of those who vanished into obscurity? The tension in the air thickened as Jake squared his shoulders, a storm brewing inside him. The crowd's anticipation had morphed into something almost hostile, their eyes darting, absorbing every detail. Tyler's laughter faded, replaced by a steely gaze fixed on the boy before him. There was something electric about Jake, like a live wire ready to spark. "Let us make it interesting," Tyler said, stepping forward. The crowd shifted, the murmurs intensifying as they processed the billionaire's words. "You win, you take my horse. But if you lose, you'll regret it." Jake swallowed hard, heart racing. Regret? What did that mean? He felt the stirrings of doubt deep in his gut, but he pushed it aside. "Fine. Let us do this." The rules were simple. A race. The cheers erupted like fireworks ready to ignite. The crowd moved to the sidelines while a thick, ominous cloud of uncertainty loomed over Jake. Could he really outrun Tyler? The fear of failure clawed at him, but trapped under the weight of the crowd's expectation, he stepped up to the starting line. "On three," Tyler said, his voice low, almost a hiss. "1, 2, 3. And they were off. Jake's feet flew over the ground. The earth pounded beneath him, a rhythm syncing with his wild heartbeat. He didn't dare look back. He could hear the roar of the crowd, the sound echoing in his ears like a war drum. This was it. The moment he had been waiting for, yet never truly believed would come. With each stride, Jake felt the exhilaration of freedom wash over him. The wind whipped through his hair, cutting against his skin like a sharp blade, reminding him of everything he had fought for. His breath came in gasps, but he pushed through the pain, fueled by sheer determination. Tyler was ahead, his powerful form slicing through the air as if gliding over water. Jake felt the gap bridging, anger mingling with courage as he zeroed in on his opponent. His training was minimal, but grit could compensate for lack of experience. The wolf inside him howled for survival. Then a horrible crack echoed through the air. Jake's attention snapped to the right, his eyes widening. Tyler's horse, a majestic stallion, had stumbled. The animal twisted, struggling to regain its footing, panic flaring beneath him. The crowd gasped, voices lifting in shock, a wave of panic rising like a tidal swell. Jake's heart stumbled in his chest. He didn't want to win this way. "Control it, you fool," Tyler yelled, his voice piercing through the chaos. And that moment, Jake faced a choice. He could keep running, seize his chance for glory, or dive into the fray, chase after the fallen horse. Uncertainty grasped his throat, tightening like a noose. The legends of Tyler's vanquished challengers haunted him. What if he ran? What if he stayed? Instincts roared louder than fear, and Jake darted toward the chaos. As he reached the horse, its wild eyes focused on him, confusion mixing with desperation. With his heart pounding in his throat, he grasped the reins. "Easy, easy, I've got you," he whispered soothingly. The crowd fell silent, shock hanging heavy in the air. Then came the memory of a story told late at night under the stars. A whisper of bravery, of choices made in the heat of battle. But as Tyler loomed behind, fury burning in his eyes, Jake realized the challenge had morphed into something darker. The stakes had risen, and a haunting question filled Jake's mind. Would saving the horse cost him his chance at freedom? The atmosphere crackled with an uncertainty that sent shivers down his spine. What horrors awaited in Tyler's wrath? Would Jake evade those dark shadows or get caught in their grip? The crowd was frozen in that moment, captivated by the tension swirling thickly around the scene. Jake's fingers tightened around the reins as he felt the stallion trembling beneath him, its body a reservoir of raw energy waiting to explode. He glanced toward Tyler, who stood like a storm cloud, ferocious anger contorting his features. Jake could almost taste the desperation in the billionaire's glare, could sense the visceral hunger for dominance that radiated from him. "Get away from my horse," Tyler's voice roared out, breaking the silence like glass shattering. The threat wasn't just in his words, it was in the way he took a step forward, fists clenched at his sides. Jake swallowed hard, adrenaline pumping through his veins. There was no choice. He had to protect the beast. "I'm just trying to help," he shouted back, his voice shaking but steady with determination. The stallion whinnied again, and he felt a flare of connection between them. He calmed his mind, breathing deeply. This horse was scared, and so was he. Tyler's fury exploded. "You'll regret this, kid. You don't know who you're messing with." The crowd murmured, a blend of curiosity and horror at what might unfold. Some leaned forward, eager for the drama, while others backed away in fear of the looming confrontation. Jake's heart raced. Tyler had already made his reputation clear. But deep within him, Jake found a resolve he didn't know he had. Stepping forward, he stood between Tyler and the horse, defiantly meeting the billionaire's piercing gaze. "You're not going to hurt him," he declared, the words spilling from him with surprising clarity. "Not while I'm here." The air crackled again, almost like a warning of the storm brewing inside Tyler. His nostrils flared, and he seemed to measure Jake's worth in that brief instant, a calculating predator sizing up its prey. In the surrounding silence, the crowd watched, entranced. Would good triumph over the darkness that Tyler represented? With a ferocious growl, Tyler lunged toward them. Jake's instincts kicked in. He sidestepped, still clutching the horse's reins while keeping it calm. Tyler stumbled, momentarily caught off guard. "You think you can take me? I own this place. I can crush you. What you're doing is wrong," Jake shouted, his voice breaking through the fury like a beacon of light. He felt the fire of his own rage stir within him, his backbone straightening with righteousness. This isn't a game. You're risking everything for what? A bet? The crowd gasped, unsure of how to react. Jake's words pierced through the chaos, resonating deeper than the superficial thrills of a race. It was a reminder of the very essence of struggle, the true stakes of life, the unwavering courage to defend even the weakest among them. Tyler sneered, regaining his composure. Such heroism for a foolish cause. If you think you can save that horse, you've got another thing coming. Just then, from the deep recesses of the crowd, a voice piped up. What are you going to do, Tyler? It was an unexpected challenger, someone Jake didn't recognize, but the words hung like smoke in the air, forcing Tyler to confront the reality of his actions. Jake's heart raced, the adrenaline morphing into something more potent. Hope ignited within him. The crowd's support began to shift, murmurs of his bravery weaving through them. But Tyler mustered his fury, shadows of retaliation darkening his expression. You think you're brave now? What will happen when you see me unleash everything I've got? He stepped back, raising a hand toward his entourage, signaling them to move closer. Jake's stomach dropped as he noticed the grim look on their faces. Tyler's threats were not just empty words, they were a promise. Run! Someone shouted from the crowd. The realization hit Jake like a tidal wave. Things were about to spiral into chaos. Would he make it through this confrontation unscathed? Would he save the stallion and maintain his freedom? As figures began to close in around him, Jake felt urgency surge through his blood. He needed to act fast, but could he consider the horse's safety and his own freedom simultaneously? The whirlwind of doubt bore down on him. He had come this far, but the real test was just beginning. Stay strong, buddy, he whispered to the horse, feeling its desperation mirroring his own. Just then, with a roar, the situation ignited and Jake knew there was no turning back from what lay ahead. What would unfold? Would Jake's spirit hold against Tyler's wrath? The battle for both his freedom and a life worth fighting for was about to begin. Jake's heart pounded in his chest, each beat syncing with the chaos around him. Shadows from Tyler's entourage loomed large, their dark silhouettes weaving ominously into the fray. The adrenaline coursing through him felt like fire, igniting every nerve. He could sense the stallion's heartbeat syncing with his own raw energy, fear and fight, all wrapped up together. Get your hands off that horse, Tyler barked, his voice cutting through the tension like a knife. The crowd recoiled as one, caught between the impending clash and the unholy thrill of confrontation. Jake's grip on the reins tightened. He felt the stallion's apprehension. It mirrored his own fear but also stirred a fierce determination. With Tyler's crew moving forward, Jake had only seconds to make a choice. He could feel the weight of their gazes, curiosity mingled with bloodlust. I'm not afraid of you, Jake shouted, trying to sound braver than he felt, letting defiance spill over his words. Tyler's laugh was like ice. You think you can stand in my way? You think you're some hero? His crew joined him, a rumble of laughter that made Jake's skin crawl. Maybe I'm not a hero, Jake admitted, clenching his jaw, but I'm not a coward either. The stallion shifted beneath him, as if sensing the rising stakes. Jake's resolve hardened. He couldn't let Tyler break this horse or him. Then, like a match striking fire, Tyler lunged again, this time more controlled, more dangerous. Jake sidestepped once more, adrenaline sharpening his reflexes. Ground beneath him turned chaotic. Feet stumbled, voices rose, and Jake felt a pressing need to take a stand. You want to play rough? Let us play. Tyler's words hung heavy in the air, a challenge steeped in arrogance. There was no mercy in his expression. He was all predator, hunting prey. I don't want to play at all, Jake retorted, voice steadying as he took another step closer, heart racing with defiance. Tyler waved his hand, signaling his men. Grab him. The words were cold, calculated, like death sentences thrown into the boiling air. Jake's stomach dropped. The crowd shifted uneasily, whispers threaded through them like live wires. Gasps of horror mingled with anticipation, igniting a tension so thick it felt palpable. Some spectators turned to leave, while others leaned in closer, desperate to not miss a moment of the impending storm. As Tyler's men moved like shadows towards Jake, something unexpected happened. A woman in the crowd raised her voice in protest. Stop. This isn't right. The shout pierced through the avalanche of chaos, halting the advancing figures. All eyes turned to her, perplexed but intrigued. "Who are you?" Tyler barked, anger flaring anew, now mixed with confusion. "I'm someone who believes in justice," she said, a fire sparking in her eyes. "And this isn't justice. You can't treat him or that horse like this." Jake felt an unfamiliar emotion swelling up within him, hope. It was like a lifeline thrown into the tumultuous water. The crowd began to buzz with excitement. Maybe, just maybe, the tide was turning. But Tyler's face twisted with rage. "You think your little speech can save him?" He sneered, dismissing her with a wave as he looked back at Jake. "Do you want to make it a fair fight?" Jake shot back, the words flying from his mouth before he had a chance to process the risk. Tyler's brow furrowed, thoughts colliding. "You think you can take me? You want to challenge me?" "Yeah, I do," Jake declared, his voice bolstered by raw courage. "If I win, you let the horse go. If I lose, I'll hand my life over." Gasps echoed in the crowd once again, rippling like a shockwave. For a moment, even Tyler appeared stunned, assessing the challenge with calculating eyes. Then, that sneer returned, predatory and cruel. "You really don't understand who you're dealing with, do you?" Tyler chuckled darkly, eyes narrowing. Jake stood tall, the stallion shifting beneath him as if sensing a new path unfurling. The stakes were more than he ever anticipated. They weren't just about the horse, they were about everything he believed in. As the crowd held its collective breath, the tension grew, portraying a fate hanging by a thin thread. What would happen next? If Jake pressed on, would he invite the storm or emerge from the chaos unbroken? The moment was now, and it was just the beginning. The crowd erupted in whispers, the air electrified with a mix of disbelief and anticipation. Jake felt the weight of every eye on him. Some were filled with skepticism. Others glimmered with excitement. He couldn't back down now. Tyler leaned closer, a twisted smile stretching across his face. "You really want this? You want to put everything on the line for that horse? Do you even know what you're asking for?" Jake's heart pounded. His pulse thrummed in his ears. "I know exactly what I'm asking for," he shot back. "We'll do this on my terms." Tyler's laughter was short and sharp, echoing through the crowd. "Fine. Let us make this interesting." He motioned dramatically to his crew, who stepped back slightly, folding their arms and watching, eyes glinting with mischief. A ripple of tension swept through the crowd as the people shifted, eager for the spectacle to unfold. "How about we make it a fight? Just you and me, no holds barred." "What are the rules?" Jake asked, his voice firm despite the uncertainty clawing at him. "Just one, no quitting. Last one standing wins. And of course you still owe me your precious life if you lose." His voice dripped with malice, but the excitement among the audience surged. Jake swallowed hard, adrenaline mixing with fear. He could feel the stallion beneath him, restless and uncertain, mirroring his turbulent emotions. The idea of bloodshed over a horse seemed ludicrous, yet he was here standing firm. This was more than just about the animal. It was about his dignity, his sense of justice, and his refusal to let someone like Tyler exert his will without consequence. "Let us do it," Jake replied, his voice steady, finding a flicker of confidence. The crowd cheered, their energy igniting the scene with an almost palpable fervor. Jake could see faces, some familiar, some strangers, all rooting for something he couldn't quite grasp. Their expectations felt like shackles, yet he took a deep breath and let them roll off his shoulders. With a swift motion, Tyler pulled off his jacket, tossing it into the crowd. "Get ready to eat dirt, kid. This won't be a pretty sight." As they squared off, Jake felt his muscles tense. Tyler was bigger, more experienced, fists clenched like iron. But he also had something Jake didn't: arrogance. Jake's desperation translated into inner strength, the kind that came from a resolve to protect what mattered. Tyler lunged forward, throwing a fist aimed at Jake's jaw. The world slowed as Jake ducked just in time, feeling the rush of air as Tyler's punch sailed harmlessly overhead. He darted to the side, his body reacting in instinctive defense, not wanting to become just another notch on Tyler's belt. The crowd gasped, voices rising in a chaotic crescendo as Jake began to find his rhythm. He swung back with everything he had, landing a solid hit on Tyler's ribs. The impact sent ripples through the audience, some cheering while others gasped in surprise at the turn of events. But Tyler immediately retaliated with a counterattack, an expert flick of his wrist that connected with Jake's cheek, sending him stumbling back. Pain radiated through his body, but he fought through it. Teeth gritted as he steadied himself. He couldn't show weakness. Not now. Keep fighting, kid. A voice yelled from the back, igniting a fire in Jake's chest. The cheers wrapped around him like a protective cloak. Jake steeled himself. This was his moment. The world faded away, the crowd, Tyler, it was just him and the fight. He lunged forward again, determination taking control, but then he heard a shout, this time not from the crowd, but from a familiar voice, one that sent a jolt of confusion through him. Jake! Stop! He glanced back just for a second, enough to lose focus. And that was all Tyler needed. Jake felt a sharp pain lock him in place, and suddenly the world tilted. What would happen next? Would he lose everything he fought for in a single moment of distraction? As the crowd held its collective breath, all eyes pinned on the two fighters, Jake's fate hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of chaos. What had he just gambled away? Jake barely had time to register the voice before Tyler's fist landed hard against his jaw, sending him sprawling to the ground. The world spun, shadows flickering beneath the harsh lights. He could taste blood, metallic and bitter, pooling in his mouth, yet that only fueled his spirit to rise. The crowd was wild, a cacophony of roars and shouts urging him on, but all he could focus on was the pounding in his chest. Get up! Someone yelled, and he could sense the urgency lacing the demand. Tyler stood over him, a smirk plastered on his face. You really thought you could take me, huh? Look at you. He laughed, the sound dark and mocking, like a predator relishing the thrill of the hunt. With a grimace, Jake pushed himself to his feet, shaking off the daze. Every muscle screamed, but he couldn't let that slow him down. This was no longer just about the fight. It was about proving he wasn't the weak one. Let us get back to it then, pretty boy, Tyler sneered, lunging again, fists flying. Jake dodged, letting instinct take over. He wasn't just reacting anymore. He was beginning to anticipate, to feel the rhythm of the fight. He danced back, feeling the ground beneath him, the fire of the crowd swelling his determination. He could hear their gasps, the energy making his heart race. Just a bit of focus, Jake, stay in the moment. A punch from Tyler barely grazed him, and Jake countered, throwing a jab that landed squarely this time against Tyler's jaw. The surprise in his opponent's eyes felt almost sweet, intoxicating. But that moment of satisfaction was fleeting. Tyler retaliated with a swift kick that sent Jake staggering back. In an instant, every doubt flooded back. Did he really have what it took to beat this monster? Thoughts raced as he steadied himself. The shout hadn't just been from the crowd before. He had heard someone who cared about him. Not only was he fighting for a horse now, but also for someone watching him. The realization ignited something within. He needed to dig deeper. Hey, that's it. Use that anger. Someone screamed from behind him. He glanced back for just a heartbeat and spotted Emily, her face a mix of worry and fierce determination. She wasn't just an observer. She believed in him. That spark of hope sent adrenaline surging through his veins. He turned to face Tyler again, reaffirmed with a newfound strength. This is for everything, he shouted, and with that he charged forward. The next few moves felt like a blur. Jake struck with precision, each punch fueled by his heart, his spirit ignited like a wildfire. He could hear the crowd's energy shift, shouts of encouragement and disbelief mixed together. They didn't see a kid anymore. They saw a fighter, raw and alive. Jake ducked under another wild swing from Tyler and landed a couple of consecutive strikes, one hitting the bruise forming on Tyler's side and another against his temple. Tyler staggered but didn't fall. But he was showing signs of wear, just like Jake. They were both breathing hard now, sweat beating off their foreheads like rain. Time stretched and each second felt like an eternity. You to win, Tyler growled, but Jake could hear the edge of panic in his voice, a crack forming in his facade. Watch me, Jake breathed, channeling every ounce of energy he could muster, his feet shifting as he prepared for another charge. And just as he launched himself forward, ready to deliver what could be the decisive blow, he heard another voice pierce through the chaos. This time it wasn't a cry of support. It was cold, commanding, and saturated with authority. Stop this madness now. Jake froze mid-step, a jolt of confusion coursing through him as he turned to see the figure stepping through the crowd. Who could it be? What would they do? Everything hinged on this chaotic moment, and Jake felt the ground shift beneath him once more. What could happen now? Would it cast everything he had fought for into darkness? Or could it serve as a beacon of hope amidst the turmoil? The crowd fell silent, a thick tension hanging in the air. Jake stood frozen, sweat dripping from his brow, his heart hammering violently in his chest. The commanding voice drew his attention away from the fight, shifting his world from chaos and adrenaline to a strange, sharp clarity. He squinted into the crowd, now narrowed by the new figure. A tall man with imposing stature and a tailored suit stepped forward. His presence was magnetic, drawing all eyes toward him like moths to a flame. The streetlights glinted off his polished shoes, and the ambience shifted, no longer a space for a brawl. This arena turned into a stage where something deeper was about to unfold. Who the hell are you? Tyler's voice was loud, a mix of anger and defiance. He shifted his stance, still ready to strike but clearly unsettled. Enough, the man said, his voice steady and cold like ice. A predatory calm exuded from him, making everyone else appear frantic and unhinged. You're making fools of yourselves. This boy has fought hard. He gestured sharply, fingers pointing to Jake. All of you watching this spectacle. The crowd murmured. There was something in the way he spoke, a conviction that washed over the spectators. They seemed to shift, the adrenaline of the fight replaced by curiosity and a hint of fear. Let him finish, Jake breathed, the words barely a whisper as he found his voice again, fueled by the unsettled energy swirling in the air. What did this man want? Was he trying to save Jake or end him? He doesn't need your help, Tyler growled, breaking the moment, but uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Jake could taste the tension thickening around them, an almost tangible energy that sparked fear and excitement. Doesn't he? The man stepped forward, assessing the fighters with piercing, calculating eyes. A fight for your horse? A fight for pride? His gaze drifted back to Jake. Do you know what that means? Or are you just a pawn in their game? Jake felt a pang of anger rise. He was no pawn. This was everything to him. His dreams, his purpose, all wrapped up in a single battle. I'm in this for more than a bet, he retorted, each word heavy with conviction. The world around him faded, narrowing down to just him and Tyler. But then the man spoke again. There's a bigger prize at stake than just a horse. There's more to you, isn't there? Suddenly, Jake felt as if a spotlight had shone upon him, revealing depths he didn't fully understand himself. Was there more to this fight? Visions of his future, blurred and unsure, flashed through his mind. The weight of the fight seemed to lift, replaced by something else. He was here for a purpose, a chance to rise above this chaos. Before he could process it all, the man continued, if you beat Tyler, I'll ensure that you get not just the horse, but a chance for something far greater. I'll welcome you into my world. A real opportunity. Jake's breath caught. A world beyond this? Could he step out from the shadows of his life into something vibrant and real? But the weight of uncertainty pressed down on him. What did it truly mean? A sudden eruption of voices broke through his haze and drew him back into the moment. The crowd was stirring again, energy shifting restlessly. Tyler's face contorted with rage and confusion. What do you know of my fight? You don't belong here. Neither do you. The man replied, a knowing glance toward Jake. Step aside, Tyler. This isn't just a battle of fists anymore. It's a battle for purpose. Jake's heart raced with a mix of hope and fear. Could he really win this, and what would that mean for him? What kind of fight was this turning into? Enough talk. Fight. Tyler surged toward Jake, fury evident on his face. Was this chaos his chance for redemption? Would he harness the energy swirling in the air and transform it into a victory? As the crowd erupted into cheers, Jake prepared himself once more. But now he felt the weight of a world behind him, the spark of opportunity igniting a fierce determination within. He knew he was fighting for more than just a horse. He was reaching for the hope that lay just out of reach. Yet in that moment of resolve, a deeper question loomed in his mind. If he fought and won, what would those rewards truly cost him? The answer hung heavily in the air, shrouded in suspense as the fight hovered dangerously close to chaos once more. What would it take to uncover the truth behind this opportunity? And would he be ready for what awaited him in the world beyond the fight? Jake's body coiled like a spring, adrenaline flooding his veins as Tyler charged. The thud of their fists echoed in the night air, each connection drawing roars from the crowd. The sharp taste of sweat and blood filled Jake's mouth as he dodged a wild swing and countered with a knee to Tyler's gut. It hit with a satisfying thump, and he could see Tyler's breath explode from his lips. "Is this all you've got?" Jake shouted, surprising even himself. The words shot out like a flint spark, igniting a fire he didn't know was there. The spectators roared in response, their excitement surging like a wave crashing against the shore. But Tyler was relentless, pushing through the pain, shoving Jake back with ferocity. Panic bubbled in Jake's chest. He couldn't let this end here. He saw the man in the tailored suit, his expression almost tranquil amidst the chaos. Was this the man Jake wanted to impress? Would this fight open doors to the unknown? Or would it swallow him whole? "Get in the game, Jake," the man bellowed, snapping Jake's focus back. Everything faded into the periphery. Tyler, the crowd, the night itself. Just him and that voice, thick with conviction and urgency. Jake lunged, catching Tyler off guard, a calculated strike to the side. Tyler staggered back, momentarily losing ground, and that flicker of hope gained a pulse. He dove in, fists flying, feeling the power surge with every blow. Was this the purpose the man had spoken of? Each punch resonated with a promise, a chance to claw his way into something better. But Tyler wasn't finished. He roared, a beast unleashed. With raw strength he tackled Jake to the ground, a weight pressing down, but Jake fought through the muck of despair threatening to take over. He shoved, twisted, and heaved until he managed to flip Tyler, sending the guy sprawling. Muffled anger spilled from Tyler as he scrambled back to his feet, eyes ablaze with fury. "You think you can just humiliate me and walk away?" He charged again like a torpedo, but this time something clicked for Jake. He stepped aside, letting Tyler's momentum carry him through into the crowd. Gasps surged, and a wave of disbelief rolled through the onlookers. Tyler crashed against the pavement, anger morphing into shock as he struggled to comprehend the shift in power. In that moment, Jake's heart soared high, but it was a brief elation. Would this victory be enough to bridge him into that other world the man had mentioned? Would he walk away a hero or just another player in a ruthless game? As Tyler climbed back up, fury radiated from him like a dark storm. "You won, win." He spat, his voice a howl of defiance, crawling to his feet with sheer desperation. The crowd began to murmur, bearing witness to the tide turning. A clash between not just two fighters but two destinies. "What's it going to be, Jake?" The man's voice rang in his ears, an electrifying promise that ignited the dusk. "Are you willing to seize your fate?" Jake looked at Tyler, facing each other in that charged moment. What was more daunting, the fight itself or what lay ahead if he won? The choice clawed at him, a reminder that each move he made could lead down a path he might not be ready for. Just then, a sudden scream shattered the tension, piercing through Jake's thoughts. Eyes darted toward the source, a girl in the front row clutching her chest, shock painted across her face. Panic rippled among the crowd. She's having a seizure," someone shouted. The fight faded into the background. Jake's heart dropped as he registered the panic, the crowd's focus shifting from the brawl to the unfolding crisis. There was a choice to make here. Did he stay anchored in this fight, or pull himself away to help someone in need? Time felt suspended, every second a ticking clock of heavy decisions. What was his true fight? The one for victory or the one to save a life? As he hesitated, the air grew thick with uncertainty. He faced not only Tyler, but the weight of an impending decision that could change everything. Would he abandon the battle for a chance to save someone? Jake's heart raced, torn between instinct and the promise of another world. What would he choose and how would it define him in the end? Jake's mind raced as he stared at the girl convulsing on the ground. Her eyes were wide, unseeing, and the last remnants of adrenaline washed away in a flood of confusion and fear. The crowd, originally roaring for their fighters, had now been swallowed by an eerie quiet. Murmurs turned to gasps as her body thrashed, a distressing dance that made Jake's throat tighten. "Simon, man," Tyler sneered, snapping Jake back to the fight. "What's wrong? You scared to knock me out? Focus." But the conflict no longer felt just about fists. The crowd slowly parted like a curtain revealing a stage, giving way to Jake's dilemma. The girl's distressed sounds echoed in his ears, drowning out Tyler's threats and the spectators' chants. "You're either in or out, Jake." The man's voice cut through the noise with a razor edge. It held promises and threats woven together, and for a heartbeat, Jake felt the weight of futures clashing. He could continue this fight, chase glory, or dash towards something more humane. "Move!" someone shouted, thrusting a hole of space around the girl. A few spectators rushed forward, but panic still loomed, thick as smoke. "Jake, what are you waiting for?" Tyler's growl brought Jake's focus back to the here and now. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, each beat screaming for action. Did he want to live with regret for choosing the ring over a life? "Get up, don't you dare quit." The man called again, urging Jake to refocus. But the ambassador of that world meant nothing to him now. All that mattered was the life teetering on the edge in front of him. Jake made his decision. He dashed toward the girl, knees hitting the ground beside her, his instincts kicking in. "Someone call 911. He shouted, urgency pouring from his lips as passers-by examined her carelessly. Her breaths came shallow and quick, the panic-laden faces blurring around him. He could hear Tyler yelling his name, the crowd now more noise than support. "She needs help," he pleaded, trying to steady her flailing limbs. "Just breathe, breathe." The murmurs between spectators warped into a tsunami of voices, as people were torn between the fight and the crisis. Sweat trickled down Jake's forehead, but he forced himself to focus. He swept a glance to find wide-eyed figures frozen in shock. Were they waiting for him to rise back up and join his fight, or could he be more? As she convulsed in his arms, her body suddenly seized, and the silence fell heavy. Jake cradled her, heart pounding wildly against her rapid breaths. He could feel his own fear wrestle with his desperation to take control of this moment, but he had to remain calm. Then, in that defining second, a paramedic pushed through the throng. "Step back. Give her space." A spark of relief flickered inside Jake as he stood aside, letting professionals take charge. He felt his own breath come in quick gulps, wanting to grab their toolkits and help out. But he couldn't. He had pushed past his limits already. Beneath the chaos, Tyler's furious glares drilled into him. "You think this makes you a hero, Jake? Look where you let yourself get distracted." But the cheers shifted again, fragments of fragmented encouragement breaking loose from the crowd, all aimed at Jake, the one who broke away from the brutality of the brawl. As Tyler turned, fists clenched, dark fury brewing, Jake found himself staring into a chasm that had opened up before him. The world of fighting, of proving himself, clashed with a sudden realization he was ready to face whatever came next. The girl had been saved, but he sensed the storm brewing behind him. Jake had not just walked away from a fight. He de-stepped into a new arena, one filled with unknown consequences. Fight or save? The man had asked. But Jake wasn't just choosing anymore. He was unraveling the colors of destiny right before his eyes. And as he looked back through the cacophony, the tension drumming in the pit of his stomach, Jake knew this wasn't over. He had awoken a beast in Tyler, and vengeance could ignite a fire that consumed everything in its path. Would Jake be ready for the retaliation he had unleashed? Jake stood amid the chaotic scene, breathless and wide-eyed, as medics rushed to the young girl's side. The crowd, once divided between supporters of the fight and onlookers, began to shift. Those who chanted for blood were now voicing concern, with murmurs echoing throughout the crowd like ripples in a pond. "What have you done?" Tyler's voice rumbled low and fierce from behind. Jake felt a shiver crawl up his spine. The challenge had turned monumental. Facing Tyler now felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, the abyss staring back at him. Jake turned slowly, meeting Tyler's fierce gaze. There was an animalistic rage boiling beneath the billionaire's veneer of arrogance, and that was terrifying. But in that surge of fear came a riveting surge of strength. He had stepped away from the fight for a reason. What good was winning if he lost sight of who he truly was? "You think this is over?" Tyler spat, his fists trembling with fury. "You humiliated me. You've made a serious mistake." "I'm not afraid of you," Jake replied, voice steady despite the thundering heartbeat in his chest. "Not anymore." The crowd edged closer, tensions bubbling under the surface. Emily pushed through the throng, eyes wide with fear, reaching for him. Jake, are you okay? She breathed, the concern in her voice momentarily pulling him back from the chaos. Yeah, he managed, swallowing hard against the weight in his throat. It's not about me anymore. Someone needed help. But Tyler wasn't finished. You think walking away makes you better? You're just a coward hiding behind a girl in trouble. The crowd reacted, a collective gasp coursing through them. Jake could feel the energy shifting again. A tide of voices rising and falling around him. I'm trying to be better. Jake shouted back, anger boiling to the surface. You don't get to define strength, Tyler. It's not just about muscles and money. It's about having the guts to do what's right. There was a moment of silence. Even Tyler seemed caught off guard by Jake's words. But then, as if the dam had burst, Tyler lunged forward, fists poised to strike. Jake braced himself, heart pounding as he prepared to defend himself. The crowd beckoned back, uncertainty dancing on faces both fearful and expectant. Jake had stepped into the ring of life, and he wasn't leaving without a fight. With a swift downward duck, Jake narrowly avoided Tyler's wild swing, the force of it whooshing past him. The crowd erupted into a raucous cheer and hoot of excitement, some voices chanting his name. Jake! Jake! The rhythm of their encouragement was like a pulse, pushing him forward. Fueled by their energy, Jake sprang into action. He threw a combination of punches at Tyler, fueled by both adrenaline and a fierce desire to protect what mattered to him. Each connection felt electric, invigorating a fire within him he didn't know he possessed. This is for everyone you've hurt, Jake cried out, his voice echoing with raw conviction. Tyler, reeling from the onslaught but still finding his footing, snarled back. You're just a kid playing a game too big for you. But the tide was turning. As Tyler stumbled back, there was a shift in the air, an unmistakable energy snapping into place. Jake pushed forward, determined to prove to the crowd and to himself that this was not just a moment or a fight but a testament to courage. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the edge of the crowd, a familiar face he hadn't expected to see: his mother. Tears streamed down her face as she pushed through, desperation evident in her eyes. Jake, stop. You don't have to do this. Her voice struck a chord deep within him. He didn't need to be strong for just himself. He was fighting for everyone. He paused, taking a step back and feeling a swell of emotions crash over him. In that moment, the jumbled thoughts coalesced. Tyler took advantage of his hesitation and charged forward. This time Jake was ready. With a quick sidestep, he grabbed Tyler by the arm, twisting him down and bringing him to the ground. This isn't about winning or losing, Jake said, holding him down with determination. This is about finding the strength to be better. The crowd erupted into cheers, and in a flash they surged forward, rallying around Jake. Tyler, panting beneath him, struggled against the newfound will of the crowd. Let me go, he bellowed, but the clamor of voices drowned him out, a wave of unity binding them together against the darkness Tyler represented. And that moment, Jake realized he wasn't alone. The crowd was with him, not just to witness bloodshed, but to fight for something greater. They wanted a change, a rebirth from the toxicity of arrogance and cruelty. I will not let you hurt anyone anymore, Jake declared, a vow resonating in every heartbeat. As he stood tall, Tyler's rage bubbling beneath him, he felt the hope ignite a spark within his chest. He wasn't just fighting for a horse or defeating a monster. He was crafting a future where strength was defined by empathy, where every voice would matter. As the crowd roared their approval, Jake felt a sense of closure wash over him. He had stepped into the unknown and found not just a spark of hope, but a blazing fire. He had transformed himself and faced the shadows. Get ready. Your kingdom is crumbling, Tyler, he said, unwavering. And I'm not going anywhere until you learn what true strength means. The crowd remained steadfast, ready for whatever came next as the dawn broke. The path forward had been carved, one filled with challenges but also opportunities for redemption and growth. This chapter had closed, but Jake understood now that every ending was simply a new beginning. And that was just the start. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next thrilling chapter in Jake's story, and all the incredible twists ahead. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and support this amazing community. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what happens next. I want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let's spread the word and uplift our journey together.